Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Friday, July 17th, 2020, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Cook Political Report and their ratings for the 2020 House elections. So I know I made a video discussing the House elections just a couple of days ago, but today we're actually going to be taking a look at the 20 races that have changed in characterization, all in favor of the Democratic Party. Whether that means going from solid Republican down to likely Republican or toss-up to lean Democrat. Taking a look at how these races have changed, we do have a lot to look at. So a lot of these states that the race changes have occurred in are swing states: Arizona, Colorado, Minnesota, Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Texas, and Virginia. These are all states that are supposed to be competitive for the 2020 election. Whether they actually will be, time will tell. But looking at these House ratings, obviously, 20 movements in favor of the Democratic Party, never good news for the GOP. So Arizona, Ann Kirkpatrick, if you remember her name, that's because she ran against Senator John McCain in 2016. She lost that Senate race. Her race has now been rated as solid for the Democratic Party. Pretty much if you take a look at all of the ratings here, areas that you didn't really think would be competitive this time around have become a little bit more competitive. You know, Dan Bishop won North Carolina's 9th Congressional District special election. That has been moved down to likely Republican. I don't think Democrats are really targeting a lot of these likely Republican seats, but also Oklahoma's 5th Congressional District was safe in 2018 for the Republicans. The Democrats ended up winning it on election night. But Virginia's 10th, I think that one actually has... it gives us a pretty good indicator of how the state of Virginia has pretty much turned. Jennifer Wexton defeated Barbara Comstock in this race, I believe, 2 years ago. I know that feels like a long time ago. That's just because 2020 has literally felt like a decade. But looking at the state itself, it has turned from a Republican stronghold on the presidential level down to a Democratic stronghold on the presidential level, but not so much in other elections. Then statewide control for the Democrats following 2017 in the House of, I believe, delegates. And then 2019, the state Senate moved over in favor of the Democratic Party. And then, you know, obviously they won the governor's race. The Senate races have been consistent for the for the Democratic Party against the GOP. So looking at the overall congressional districts that have moved further to the left, we are talking about swing districts that were okay for Hillary Clinton or either went to Donald Trump. Minnesota had some notable districts that had Democrat incumbents, actually, that ended up going to Donald Trump. But a lot of these districts on your screen that are now toss-up or likely or even solid for the Democratic Party weren't so solid for Hillary Clinton. Yes, she was able to win them in areas where Republicans typically won in the past. She did better in a number of these states, such as Arizona, but she also underperformed in a certain number of areas. So Democratic support shouldn't be valued just based off Hillary Clinton's abysmal numbers in 2016. I will say that her numbers back then should not be compared to what Joe Biden, obviously that's a baseline, but he definitely shouldn't be getting any less than that. Right now, Biden, probably if he does lose to Donald Trump, will be probably one of the worst screw-ups for a presidential election campaign, given Joe Biden's current lead. But looking at the races that have now been rated either from toss-up over into the lean Democrat column, we actually don't have too many that have moved from toss-up in favor of the Democrats immediately. Pennsylvania's 8th Congressional District went from toss-up to lean Democrat, but I don't really see any other races that were moved from toss-up to lean for the Democrats. But obviously more races were moved from either lean to likely or likely to solid in Arizona, California, Colorado, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, or I just mentioned Pennsylvania, Virginia. So looking at all these House ratings, obviously they all benefit the Democratic Party, but looking at the overall House composition, I don't think the Democratic Party has anything to worry about. Even with all of these race ratings, I mean, not even with, considering all of the race ratings, the Democratic Party has literally nothing to worry about. If Cook Political Report is already giving the Democrats the outright majority, giving the Republicans 158 solid seats, 16 likely seats, 15 lean seats, and then 25 toss-up seats, only 10 of which have Republicans currently holding that office. 15 out of those 25 have Democratic incumbents. But even if the Democratic Party loses all 15, the Republican Party retains all 10, all 15, all 16, all 158, they still don't reach 218. The House is officially out of reach. And this isn't just, obviously on the presidential level, Joe Biden is leading, but this indicates that Biden's lead is trickling down into down ballot races. Obviously, the Republican Party could do better in the House than they do on the presidential level if they're able to run a very strong campaign here or in the Senate, because that map really is favorable to the GOP in every way. But the Democratic Party seems to be running up the numbers not only in the House now, and the Senate and the presidential level, but it looks like they may be doing well in the governor elections, being down double digits in Montana, down to only single digits, obviously still being underwater. There's only a couple of governor races, so they're not really impactful on the overall balance of power, considering they don't generally vote as an entire delegation. But numbers are numbers, and both parties would like to retain control or gain control of a certain chamber of Congress or the NGA. So looking at the overall generic ballot polls as well, the Democrats are trouncing the Republicans. We're seeing nearly an 8-point lead on the nationwide level. In fact, this is almost the exact lead the Democrats had going into 2018. So if they are going into 2018 with the same lead that they have right now, that means the Democratic Party is probably going to do as well and possibly even gain seats. Looking at a number of these races that have moved down into lean for the Republicans or likely, that means they're within striking distance for the GOP. Because at this point in time, I realistically don't think any of these lean Democrat seats, likely Democrat seats, or even safe Democrat seats will flip in 2020. Obviously, there may be one exception, but there probably won't be more than one. Out of these 17 in the lean Democrat column, if Donald Trump overperforms in a congressional district, that could end up meaning that the Republican Party could win one of these. But a lot of these toss-up seats are going to remain in the Democratic column. A lot of these Republican toss-up seats are going to move into the Democratic column. I don't know if I said Republican right there, but looking at the lean Republican column as well, the Democrats definitely could take some of these races. Montana at large seems to be a tied race right now. Okay, we have the rogue Democratic congressman who switched political parties. New Jersey only has one or two Republican congressmen now, but after 2018 only had one. Jeff Van Drew switched political parties and openly supported President Trump again. And I think New Jersey very well could vote this Republican incumbent out. Even though he was elected back in 2018, there definitely are more Democrats that could fill that race. So looking at a lot of the competitive races for the Republicans, not only are they in swing districts, but the Democratic Party is going to be funneling money into these swing states themselves. I don't think that we'll see a number of ads from the Biden campaign in states such as Missouri. I don't think we'll see a lot of them focusing in New York or Washington. But looking at the areas that will probably get a number of Biden ads and a number of Democratic ads pushing them to come out and vote, are in states such as Arizona, absolutely. Definitely in Montana, even though it's not so much a presidential competitive race, or it actually might be. It's very competitive on the Senate level, the governor level, and the House level. Looking at a number of these areas where the Republican Party probably won't do well on the presidential level, they're probably going to lose a lot of these states. That means the Democratic Party probably will do even better than where they did in 2016 on the House level, obviously 2016, but possibly even better than 2018. Looking at all of these races that have moved in favor of the Democratic Party, think about the states. Arizona, it seems like Joe Biden's probably going to win that. Colorado as well, Minnesota, Nebraska's 2nd District, North Carolina, Ohio is toss-up. Troy Balderson actually won a special election, so it seems like some of those special election Republican incumbents are now a little bit more at risk than before. Ohio is extremely gerrymandered, by the way. Pennsylvania, Texas, which I will say is a toss-up, not so much lean Biden, but a toss-up. We definitely can see an increased amount of turnout there. And Virginia, which actually isn't really a toss-up. Virginia is just a Republican pipe dream at this point, given that Virginia is more likely to go to the Democratic Party than Texas is to the Republican Party. So keep that in mind. The races have completely changed from where they were just 8 years ago when Joe Biden was last on the presidential ballot. So when we talk about these remaining races, again, the Democrats literally have nothing to worry about. I don't see why the GOP even tries to consider the possibility of winning back the House of Representatives. I understand they're working with the same exact House map that they've controlled since 2010. But you also have to realize that a number of these congressional districts have moved away from the GOP, not just because of Donald Trump, but in terms of Republican treatment of the coronavirus, governors in the way that they're handling it. I mean, Democrats are consistently outperforming in terms of approval of handling the coronavirus. A number of that is pushing a lot of these suburban districts to register for the Democratic Party. In fact, the Democratic Party nationwide actually has the most people ever affiliating with them nationwide. Based off the recent Gallup poll, the Democrats now have a 9-point lead or point advantage in terms of registration/party affiliation, meaning independents that lean a certain way. Back in January, the Republicans had that advantage. I know that seems weird, but you also have to understand the fact that America is pretty much a split country, which means there's a reason why it's so significant that Joe Biden is trouncing Donald Trump in a number of these swing states. Because I can almost guarantee after Trump is out of this race and the Democrats start running candidates like Nikki Haley or Josh Hawley in 2024, and the Democrats run Kamala Harris or AOC for all we know, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party will probably be back to a standstill in the Senate, in the House, and on the presidential level. I just think that Obama was a one-in-a-lifetime candidate, and so was Donald Trump. I don't think Joe Biden is the same, but I do think that Donald Trump is revolutionizing the Electoral College, but in favor of the Democratic Party. And it seems now in favor of the Democrats in the House. After numerous pickups in the 2018 governor elections, we can guarantee gerrymandering on both sides. Unless the state legislature is completely opposed to the governor, we likely could see gerrymandering on both political parties because following the 2010 census, the Democratic Party didn't really have that many governor races to hold on to. They didn't really have too much power in terms of where they drew the 2020 House maps. There are a number of gerrymandered states. My state of Maryland is one. North Carolina used to be one, still kind of is. Ohio, Pennsylvania, again, had redistricting issues. A number of states, Florida, Texas, we see a lot of gerrymandering. I think Iowa is probably the perfectly cut cake. It seems everything's a cake, but I mean, Iowa's literally, if you look at the congressional districts, it looks perfect. So maybe everyone should follow that rule, but then again, you might not be including every part of the population. So that's pretty much it for this video. I wanted to thank you guys so much for 50,000 subscribers. That literally means the world to me. I'm going to make a video discussing what I'm actually going to be doing for that 50K subscriber special. I'm trying to get all of the equipment in time. I ordered it off Amazon. And also I'm going to be using a different computer because this MacBook cannot really run live streams that well. But again, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. I'm talking really fast because I don't like the end screen being on for longer than 20 seconds. I'll probably only keep it on for 20 seconds. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later today.